Welcome, everybody, to episode number 89 of the 365 Pro Wrestling Podcast. Our special guest today, Riea Von Slasher, and our host today, Thomas Chow. Now, this interview is going to come out as episode number 89. I sped it up a little bit because I want to put the tempo 4 weeks in a row. So, this is a really good interview. I think you're going to enjoy it. Riea Von Slasher's been wrestling from a very young age, so she's got tons of stories. She's done a lot of stuff. I hope you guys enjoy.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 91 of the 365 Pro Wrestling Podcast. My special guest today is none other than Riea Von Slasher. Riea, welcome to the show.
Hi, Chow.
Hello. How are we doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
I've been doing good. We're going to start this thing off on, no, we're going to go a little bit back in time there. You started training. You started wrestling at a very young age. What did your family think of you becoming a professional wrestler? Like all that time ago.
All that time ago.
Back in them pre-hysterical days.
So yeah, originally I wanted to be a boxer. Don't get me wrong. I always loved wrestling. But my mom thought, between the two, my mom thought wrestling would be less violent. So when I was 14, that was the age that the trainer would allow me to train. She signed the waiver, and she didn't want to hear about me complain about it hurt. She didn't want to hear road stories. She did make my wrestling gear, but she just didn't want to hear about it. So yeah, I don't know. She was supportive from a distance.
You know, and for some people, that's probably the best thing. You know, you don't want them being too supportive, or they just start getting in the way in a way.
I think if my mom knew some of the stuff, she probably would have not let me wrestle anymore.
Probably would have been some words, some talking, some discussions.
But yeah. I don't know. It wasn't until I think 2 years ago now was the first time she came and watched me wrestle. And I've been at it for 16, 17 years. So
wow.
Yeah.
So has her thoughts changed about the wrestling now? Is it the less violent of the two?
I don't think she thinks it's less violent anymore, because her biggest concern was always, I don't want your nose to get broken. Well, I've broken my nose, so joke's on you, Mom.
No. Funny thing is, like from a lot of the people I talk to, that seems to be the biggest thing. Don't break your nose. Don't break your nose. It's a very, very common concern.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah. It still looks pretty. It's pretty straight and big. I don't know. I think it's all right.
Can't really tell. No. So, starting at a very young age there, what were some of the advantages of starting out so young?
I got wise really fast. I think starting so young helped me grow up. Like, you're out traveling with real grown-ups. I grew up probably a lot faster than I should have, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means I'm very wise for my age. I think most people, when they first start wrestling, it takes them a while to get it. So I probably got it a little bit sooner than most people would, because I was around for a long time. Disadvantages, I will be turning 33 and my body is in rough shape. So yeah, that's a disadvantage. I aged it terribly.
Well, you don't look it at all.
Well, thank you.
Now, on the heels of that, when you're talking about disadvantages, what's the one thing you wish you had known before you got into the industry? You know, if there's one thing that maybe future Riea could have told past Riea, what would that have been?
I can't lie. The guy who trained me was pretty open, probably more open than any 14-year-old needs to hear. He didn't sugarcoat it. He told me what I was getting into, how racist can be, how wrestling can be racist and sexist, and I will never be anything more than a woman. He told me, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, he told me not to sleep with any of the boys. I'd be labeled, I was like, there wasn't much sugarcoating about it. So I can't say that I didn't know. Like, I was warned. So I don't think well, careful who you trust is probably the only thing I wish I knew.
What was it? Yes, yeah. So I mean, when you've heard the stories too, like of up and coming wrestlers or people new to the business, and the people who've trained them may have not been as straightforward or as upfront as your trainer was with you. So but it's really refreshing to hear that yes, you knew what you were getting into. You knew exactly what to expect. Whether or not in certain situations you probably listen to that is a different story altogether.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean that's all part of growing up. Um, which brings us to a point. Because as I said, you've been around for a bit there. So, what at this point in time, what do you consider like your greatest accomplishment in professional wrestling to date?
I have a few. I don't have as many as I'd like. I have proven to promoters that a woman can hold a men's belt. I've proven to promoters that a woman can fight a man and there doesn't need to be a special occasion to do it. I've gotten to do WWE extra work, which a lot of people get to do nowadays, but I've also gotten a tryout match in a WWE ring. Like, whether or not they ever call me again, whether or not I ever hear from them again, the fact that I can say I had a match in a WWE ring, that's pretty cool. It's kind of marky, but I'm okay with that.
Well, and that's awesome. That's good because I mean, at the end of the day, we're all fans.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
mean, we all got into this business because we watched, and we want to be a part of
Idolized it.
it.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, granted, like, if someone told me like 7 8 years ago that hey, you're going to be a ring announcer, in professional wrestling, I'd be like, yeah, no, you go sit over there. Yeah, but here we are, and it's awesome. Um, that being said, also, what was your biggest failure in wrestling? Like something that oh,
Well, also, my tryout match. So I was with a girl that was quite green. I won't mention her name. I do love her. I do respect her. When you're put in that situation, basically you're told you have 5 minutes, pick who wins and loses, get in there, champ. And she forgot a waist lock in the first sequence of the match. And I officially didn't trust her to remember anything else in the match.
oh no.
So I loudly led her through it. I probably rushed us because I was so frustrated. And I didn't make myself look good because of it. But you'll live, you'll learn. We've had great matches since, but it wasn't when it counted, you know.
Mm.
But also failure. No, I'd say that's the winner. That's the winner.
Oh,
We win.
well, but overall, like from that experience there, like what was the major like the best takeaway from that experience that helped you grow from that and like that you learned from that experience like that instant.
You can only control your own performance. Yes, it is teamwork. Yes, you go in there and you try to have a match together, but in that moment, I could have just let it show that it was her, and instead I tried to cover, and it actually hindered me um probably getting a call back. So all I can do is control what I do in there. I can't control, like, yes, I'll always try to cover mistakes, but the way I did it probably wasn't the best way. Yeah, I want us both to look good, but at the end of the day, I should have focused on me controlling me looking good.
Yeah, because they probably would have seen that like, okay, well, this part
Yeah.
here, okay, this was the yeah, you could tell us then this part here was there, and so
Yeah.
it's so here's open. You know what? I mean, they said it's never say never,
Yeah.
and hopefully the opportunity comes again.
Maybe. If COVID ever
Hey,
goes
hey,
away.
well, I hope
Damn border.
not. Yeah, true. It's
Anyways.
yeah. Oh, and all your experience too. Um, so what's some of the advice? What is some advice you would give to some of the young aspiring wrestlers coming up through like the Pacific Northwest or just in general, just coming up everywhere in the business?
Don't think you're gonna get in it and make a lot of money. You better have the passion. You better want it because you love the sport. Because yeah, you ain't gonna get rich. Do it because you love it, not because of any other reason. Because you won't make it if that's the case. So,
Which is very good advice. So there, you heard it all. Oh, um, now talking about just from biggest failures to accomplishments. Just on like the marquee side of things a bit there. Uh, who are the three people that have been influential to your career, whether it's people you personally know or just like wrestlers like you've watched in general? Who've been the most influential to Riea Von Slasher?
this question always is kind of embarrassing to me because the reason I started wrestling is because I was in love with Jeff Hardy.
You're probably not the only one.
I guarantee you, there's tons of girls out there.
Oh, yeah.
But I also, even today in some of my matches, I was a huge fan of Victoria. I still use some of her heel stuff. I mean, I came up with all my own stuff,
Of course.
Victoria. And I don't know who a third would be. I mean, I take bits and pieces of people that I like. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say I created it all myself. Maybe Beth Phoenix.
That's a good list to have.
I
they're all innovative, like in their own in their own way. So getting back to that, with the three, and this probably actually answers the next question. But if you could have a sit down dinner with three other pro wrestlers, past or present, kind of table for three style, I think this probably answers the question, but unless it's different, but who would they be and why?
It's not the same three, Chow. Don't act like you know me.
Oh.
Sherry Martel, Kurt Hennig, and Jeff Hardy, because
Oh,
I would love to pick both Sherry and Kurt Hennig's brains. Sherry for character aspect, and Kurt Hennig because he's perfect. Hello. And Hardy just so girly fantasies.
yeah. He'd be sitting in the chair right across.
Asking Sherry questions and just staring. Yeah, okay, Sherry. Yeah.
Oh, you make a good point. uh, um, so something you alluded to, and this also, like I said, once again, this also would also probably tie into another question here. But for fans that don't know, because you said your mom made your gear, but you have made a ton of your own gear now. How did you get into that? And is there one design that stands above the rest as like your favorite design that you've had?
So how I got into it was one, gear's expensive. I don't know if you people are aware of this, but that stuff is not cheap. So yeah, my mom used to make clothes for me. Even before I got into wrestling, I would design various clothes and give my mom a piece of paper and be like, here, mom, make this. So My mom used to make it, and then one day she's like, "I'm not doing this for you anymore. You know how to do it. Do it yourself." That would be around the time that she had to hand sew a bunch of stuff onto a wedding dress. She was like, "I'm never doing this again." But so yeah, I started doing my own because I'm cheap, to be honest. And also I'm very picky on how things fit me and what parts of my body at times I want to hide. So I think the gear that I'm most proud of is the original White Wolf Riea gear, just because I feel like it was like me leveling up on my own gear. It got the best feedback I've ever gotten on any gear I made. Just the whole, like from the mask to the fur that matches the ears on the mask to the, I was really proud of that. And sorry, PETA, it's made out of deer leather and it's all hand sewn. So that gear was actually really painful to make because a lot of times when I put the needle in, it would puncture my skin before it punctured the leather. So yeah, I literally put like my blood, sweat, and tears into that gear.
Stole my quip. I was going to say you literally put your
Yeah,
blood into that. How long did that gear take you to make?
there's probably, I think it was like a month and a half, but then some of those days were like full days. So like on the weekends, because it is hand sewn on the weekends, a lot of times I would just be stuck in my chair hand sewing for like hours on end. Look at the clock and be like, "Oh, I haven't eaten yet today. Crap." You know? Yeah, I there was a lot of time put into that gear. I'd like to think I've gotten faster since that, but that was my first leathered that detailed.
And do you think the fans will see something more elaborate in the future, or you're like, okay, you know what, that's maybe as much as I'm going to do with this, and maybe scale it back, or it's
I'm always going to evolve. I'm always going to change it. I have some gear that I've recently made. If you follow me on social media, I do have new gear done up. It's like Little Red Riding Wolf gear. um, but yeah, I should be spending this time making more gear, but quite frankly, I've been lazy because it hurts my hands.
no, fair. Fair enough. Going back to what you were saying about your gear and things that you want to cover up or accentuate or show off. If people who haven't been or people who've been looking at your social media, Instagram, stuff like that, they have seen that you've been getting into some amazing shape. Like I mean, like you just damn. Um, what in this, like, I guess because of all the down period, but what has motivated you to in this time to bring out to bring out this best in you? Because
So honestly, it had nothing to do with downtime or COVID. I hired a personal trainer at the beginning of February before anything got locked down. So basically, I just came off 2 TLCs. I had concussion again. I might have refractured my face. I was very depressed. I was putting a lot into my matches, like physically, and I just felt like I wasn't getting the response from promoters that I felt I deserved. I was very depressed actually, like all jokes aside. I was in a rough spot. I was questioning if I wanted to be in the business anymore. And one of the wrestlers in the Pacific Northwest had hired this trainer who used to work in the wrestling industry. And I was like, you know what? I might as well give her a shot. Let's see where this goes. So, yeah, I just started working with her. I will be with her a year in February, and she's really helped me. One, apparently, when I thought I was on a good diet, I wasn't eating enough. You should see all the food I eat now. It's crazy. but just like put purpose into my training instead of wandering around for 2 hours in the gym and then getting frustrated and binge eating, and you know how it goes.
Yeah.
To
I don't
just
look
put
at it, but yeah.
and drive into it. And honestly, it was like I had to better myself, or I had to get out because I couldn't keep going in the circles. And you know the old mentality, go to the gym and you'll get a push, bro, you know? Really, I probably did it for me. It was like, okay, it's now or never. And then COVID hit, and I was like, oh, I got all the time in the world now. But I totally got carried away with it, and I kind of hurt myself, but that's neither here nor there.
But so you said you hurt yourself. It was something just kind of like minor, just like whoops, okay, maybe I went a little bit too
Uh,
far into it, or was it like
I probably got cocky with my weights. Like I can deadlift. I could deadlift 300 pounds, and I was like, okay, so different movements. I was like, well, I wonder what I can do on a stiff-legged dead, which is totally different movement. And you probably shouldn't go as heavy as I tried. So I pulled something, and then I just whatever I did what I was supposed to get back to where I needed to be. I was within 3 days. I was back to working down my bottom half again, and then we had a match for 365. And then all of a sudden, I don't know if it was the combination. I don't know if it's just because I overworked myself. Like I was doing like 2 workouts a day, sometimes 3.
oh,
Then all of a sudden, I couldn't bend over to tie up my shoe. So I got put on deload, which basically means active recovery. I still worked out, but I didn't lift the weights I was lifting. And I've gone through physio now, and I'm actually going to see a chiropractor to see if it's my hips. But I'm coming back up from the deload, starting to lift a little heavier again. So we're on the mend. So maybe I just won't try to lift stupid amounts of weights on certain movements anymore. I don't know.
well, once again, something to learn from.
Yeah, right.
Yes,
Lesson learned.
exactly.
It's okay. Got you, buddy.
Yeah,
I see where you are.
yeah, yeah, you told me.
Yep.
Um, speaking of which, was there any like when your trainer was helping you out and setting exercises and meal plans and stuff like that, was there any exercise where you thought, okay, no, okay, you're making me do this. I'm gonna hate this. That this exercise is gonna suck. But then you're like, oh man, no, now I can't stop.
So I don't know if you know this, but I don't like cardio. Crazy for a wrestler, right? Wind sprints. She had me do wind sprints, and I hated them at the beginning, and then I couldn't do them anymore because I hurt myself, and I was so sad. And now I'm just so excited to do these friggin' wind sprints again. Like I want to run so fast for 30 seconds, I'm gonna puke. I can't wait. Yeah. I don't know. It was like nothing. Like I love deadlifts, I love squats, but I'm like, man, I wish I could do those wind sprints right now.
So before those cardio, I was like, yeah, no, not doing that cardio. Now it's like, oh crap,
I wish I could do the cardio.
And it's true. It's tough for a lot of people. Like I was never the back when I look somewhat better. Cardio was never the biggest thing. I always wanted to hit the weights myself, but I kicked my ass into it because I needed to.
Cardio sucks.
Yeah.
Until you can't.
Yeah.
Until you can't. Then you want to.
Exactly. And then you realize, hey, you can listen to music while you run, and then that changed everything for me. So. And as I said, speaking about music, actually, so if you were to pass me your phone right now, or iPod, I'm not sure if you still use one of those, and I open up your music playlist, what's the first 3 songs that I'd see?
So I am a big fan of Hollywood Undead. So me and another wrestler in 365, I'm not going to mention who it is. If we ever team up, we got this song picked out already, and it's Whatever It Takes by Hollywood Undead would probably be the top song on my phone for like the last 3 years. I don't even listen to it anymore, but it's just programmed in my phone. Arise by The Siege always gets me jacked up. I want to use it for a hype video one day. No one steal that. And then one of my favorite songs to work out to, and that's why it's probably like in the top 3, is Let It Burn by Avatar. I don't even really like Avatar, but something about that song, I'm like, yeah, it burns. Awesome.
It just gets you pumped, right?
Yeah. I mean, my favorite band, obviously, if anyone knows my entrance music that I've had for the last two entrance musics, In This Moment is my favorite band, though. But yeah, those are my songs.
Nice, nice. And talking about like media here, and as we're into the fun part of the interview here. Oh, it's all fun. What am I saying? It's all fun. The fun part of the interview. But favorite movie? Are you a big movie watcher?
I am, but I don't know if I could put a favorite on there. Okay, like I could quote Step Brothers most days. But I don't know what my favorite would be. I'm better at picking favorite TV shows than favorite movies, I think. But yeah, I think Step Brothers would be in my top 10. What are you doing? I'm burying you.
That phrase has so many different meanings.
Right?
Yeah. So that being said, then what is your favorite TV show then?
So I either have That 70s Show or Roseanne on repeat on any given day in my kitchen. Those are the two I think I rotate from while I'm cooking or whatever. They remind me of a better time. I think Roseanne reminds me of like my family, and That 70s Show is just awesome.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right?
Now the classic Roseanne, or like with the new stuff included?
No, like the classic Roseanne, not the Connors. Don't get me wrong. I watched the Connors, but yeah, like
it's not the same.
Yeah.
No, it's and now getting I guess we're doing some more stuff there, but now I don't know when we're gonna put this out, but as of recording, we're just very a few days, almost a week shy of the Royal Rumble. So, favorite Rumble if you've got one.
I don't know these things. Here's my shtick about any pay-per-view. Okay, there's always gonna be matches I want to see, and there's always gonna be matches I do not give a shit about. How I roll is I record and then I fast forward. Or now that we have the network, I just like type in the match or the talent I want to see. So pay-per-views mean nothing to me. Like favorite Mania, I couldn't tell you. Someone said 17 because it was a good one, but I couldn't tell you what was on the card. The only one I really remember is 10, just because it seemed to be on all the time for a while. Like Macho and Crush and that terrible blown tied up spot, and falls count anywhere, but they don't count anywhere because you have to get back to the ring. Who books this?
It was a different time back then. They didn't know.
Yeah, I guess so.
Ladder matches are different, and
yeah, well, that's just it too. 10 had the first ladder match, and it was nothing compared to today's standards. They always didn't almost kill themselves.
That might be a good thing. I mean, but are you gonna watch the Rumble this year?
Probably not. Don't judge. Don't judge.
I mean, honestly enough, like for me too, like as I was writing this question out, and I was looking, I'm like, who's in the Rumble this year? I'm trying to keep tabs on everything. It's ridiculously hard. If you ever looked
I couldn't even tell you who they released and who they didn't, and when COVID hit, I don't even know who has a job anymore.
Oh, that was so weird. That was just, and the explanations for that were, oh well, we're gonna just keep them. There's no reason to get rid of anybody right now. But
downsizing.
I guess so. Well, looking back on that, you know, tell us something about you that people might find interesting or just might not know in general. Like, there's something that goes, oh, okay, well, that's neat.
I'm not that interesting. I
There
don't
you
know. I got like, I don't know. I'm really into crystals. I have quite the collection. Some would say I almost have a problem. Yeah, I don't know. I'm into the witchiness of the world. I don't know if people find that interesting or might think I'm a bigger freak now. I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I think you know
So
it. I mean, crystal. I mean, the crystals are neat.
I also like I do the candle magic stuff, stuff like that.
all the
Smudge my house.
all the normal magic
You're
stuff.
picking up what I'm putting down.
Oh yeah. Oh, something back to like I said with wrestling and all that. What is something about pro wrestling that is just 100% myth that a lot of people are like, oh no, this is it. This is 100% true. You're like, no, it's complete. You know,
I think it'd be the same for everybody. I think any wrestler that's a wrestler would say the same thing. People say it's fake and it doesn't hurt. Are you kidding me? I invite anybody who wants to tell me this business is fake to get in the ring and have a match and tell me that it doesn't hurt. Anybody. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a football player. I don't care about you're a boxer. It's going to hurt you. I don't care.
no,
Like,
I can.
that's the biggest misconception of pro wrestling is it doesn't hurt, and that's bull honky.
Ooh, hockey. That's right.
Bull
I
honky.
can personally attest to this, as I was tossed into an island rumble, and I did not fare thee well. I think a certain Riea slasher may have gotten a couple of shots in before I
Fresh
was,
meat.
and then yeah, and tossed over. Like, you want to see the most ungraceful toss over the top rope? I dare anyone on VIPW YouTube, track down that Island Rumble. It is not good.
It's fun beating up Chow though.
Well, a lot of people tend to do it. I think like the first match I got spat on by Kenny Lush, so
That's
it
our
all went down.
classic King of Lush though.
Yeah, went all downhill
Loogies
from
for
there.
all. I'm pretty sure he could get charged for that now though. FYI.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I mean that gum is was like a loaded weapon right there.
Right.
Oh, I think as we get closer to here, introspective time here. If you could ask yourself one question on the podcast that maybe hasn't been asked that or you just would want to ask in general, what would that be?
Ask myself.
Or maybe even me.
I
No
don't
one wants to
know.
ask me a question.
I can't even ask myself a question. What the hell am I gonna ask you?
Fair enough.
Right. I don't know. I got nothing.
No, and you know what? That's okay. I mean, we've gone through a lot of questions. I think on the western end here, actually, yeah. As I go back, I'm as we talk about stuff there. What would actually if you had to write a book about all the things that you've done, and all your experiences in wrestling, just in life in general, what would the name of your book be if you were to write a book?
Hard way. Why hard way? Because one,
Yes.
it's a double entendre in pro wrestling. And two, because I am literally the girl that when you say, oh, she had to learn everything the hard way, she had to learn everything the hard way. She couldn't just take someone's advice. No. She had to go through it and learn the hard way.
It's like,
every
I told
time.
you. And then I was like, no, had to find out.
No, I had to do it myself. I heard your advice. I heard what you had to say. But guess what? I had to do it and learn the hard way. But that would be a messed up book. Also, there would be no sense of time because it all kind of blurs together after
It
a
would jumble.
while.
It would jumble. Well, I mean, it would jumble from one end. So like start here and like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, no, and then
I'm
let's
15, I'm
fast forward.
30, I'm 18. I don't know where I'm at.
I mean, at least it wouldn't like bounce back and forth between, Riea von Slasher and the person behind Riea von Slasher, like the Rocks book.
Probably would. It
Oh,
probably
okay.
would.
Well, there you go.
I think for the most part, the real person probably had a more interesting teenage life than Rihanna.
True, and that's probably what everyone would want to buy the book for.
Right?
Yeah.
The behind scenes. Oh, no.
Exactly. I think that's what we all expected when we were buying the books of all these wrestlers. Oh no, yeah, we know about their career. We want to hear the behind the stuff.
To be fair, that's why you would buy an autobiography. But oh man, you wouldn't want your parents to buy that, and then there'd be a whole thing. And...
Oh no. What's the? Oh, I heard you had a book. No, I don't know where you had that from. Well, it was all over TV. No,
I had a ghostwriter. No, it was a ghostwriter. I didn't write any of that. That never happened.
Oh man, that would definitely be a wild book. Oh, yeah. I was saying, with all the incredible talent that 365 Pro Wrestling has, what makes Riea von Slasher different? Like, what compared to everyone else? Why is Riea von Slasher different? And it's an easy question, I'm quite sure, but in your own words.
Because I don't know, I'm a wolf. I'm a goddamn werewolf. I don't know. I know I can't speak to the Ontario brand. But I don't look at myself like I'm a girl. I'm a woman. But I feel like I'm a man trapped in a woman's body. That's not
Which explains why you hit so hard.
I don't know. I don't know what makes me different. I'm a hard ass.
There we go. Like that.
Can I say
say
I'm a scary bitch? Because that would make me different.
Well, I think we can say ass, and I think maybe we're like a lot of one bitch. So shoot. Okay, two of those words.
We're gonna be in trouble.
Oh,
blocked from the podcast.
It was a grand opening, grand closing.
It's a good run.
Yep. Speaking of the eastern block of 365, would you? Because I said you said you haven't been over there before. Is that something that maybe you would like to do? Venture out east a little bit, or?
Yeah, and I think when the 365 promoter sees this, he's gonna be smirking because it's a conversation that Riea brings up regularly. Fly me to Ontario, fly me to Ontario, fly me to Ontario, fly me to Ontario. So moving on, fly me to
Ontario. And you've like something. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
There's no nudging and winking. It's like
no, it's straight up. It's straight up.
Scruff.
Yes. Right? Where? Because in your career, like, so you've been all over BC. Parts of Alberta. Have you been?
I have been as far as Winnipeg. Actually, I don't think I've gone farther than Winnipeg. But before I was Riea von Slasher, I used to wrestle under a hood named Pyro. And I've done the Northern Hell tour. I've done. I did a company for a pay-per-view or something. I think it was run by Mike Davidson. I don't know if that name means anything to anybody. It was called AWE, and I wrestled Sarah Stock, and I think I tagged with April Hunter, and so yeah, I was in Winnipeg for that, and then I think the farthest I've gone down is maybe Portland. I've done quite a bit in Washington now, which I'm very happy about, but I'd like to go farther. Promoters, if you're watching, hi.
I thought there was maybe this was a show that that you had in the works, but it didn't pan out. But weren't you were supposed to go down to California or like Las Vegas
Oh,
there, or did it?
I've been flown to Vegas for a company called PPW. It was like Paragon Pro Wrestling. I don't think it's in business anymore. But yes, I have been flown to Vegas a couple times. Pardon me, I got to work with Victoria a little bit, not wrestle her, but she actually managed me once. And
Wow.
then we did an angle where she was supposed to fight the girl that she helped me beat. And then she came out in like a sling or whatever. And I can't wrestle. And I jumped the girl from behind. But then we did a spot where I held the girl and Victoria was supposed to clothesline me. And I was like, oh, could you just really make that clothesline count? And be damned if she didn't. She took my head off with that clothesline. And it was like, oh, thank you. Yeah, so fulfilling my dreams, I got to work with her once, but I never got to wrestle her. So
That would have been, I think that would have been amazing.
Yeah, I think so too. It's unfortunate. Yeah. She's retired now.
No. Well, I mean, they say never say never.
They always say that, right?
Exactly. You know. Although I guess like if you had a chance to wrestle Victoria, would the mindset be a little different because you're in the ring with you would have been in the ring with your idol?
One of my idols?
Yeah.
I think I would have just been like, teach me, lead me, tell me what we're doing. Yeah, I wouldn't even pretend to know anything in comparison. Teach me your ways, ma'am. And then she'd probably punch me for calling her ma'am. But yeah. Apparently, oh wait, I once drove when I was younger. We were on the road before cell phones were a big thing. Dating myself. We once drove to Minnesota for a show and we didn't have a cell phone, so the promoter couldn't tell us the show was canceled. So we drove to Minnesota for a show that was canceled due to insurance purposes. And then the two guys I was traveling with got on a show in the area and I got to manage, but be damned if I could tell you what the company is. So yeah, I've been farther than I remember. Oh, holy brain brain injuries galore.
Making the brain work.
Yeah. We ended up panhandling in a parking lot for money for a hotel. You want to read the little book, Ski? Shh.
Chapter 15. Oh,
Jesus loves you.
And I'm saying you've been in a lot of different locker rooms aside from 365 and VIPW. What's been your favorite locker room to be a part of?
Ooh. I really enjoy being down at Defy. It's just a very professional variety of workers. Normally you wouldn't be in a locker. Like for me, it's a locker room I wouldn't be in with a lot of people I wouldn't normally see. I really enjoyed Defy. Also 3-2-1 battle was just a crazy atmosphere. And I don't mean crazy and like just it's high energy. Everyone's just happy to be there. Those two were very, very pleasurable and I miss them.
And since you've been down there, would you say the state of professional wrestling in not just BC but in the Pacific Northwest, would you say it is probably the best it's been in a very long time?
Before COVID, yes, obviously, because nothing's happening right now.
Post COVID, it's gotten better. How?
I think it's come a long way from being known as the black hole of professional. Like the Pacific Northwest used to be known as the black hole of professional wrestling. I think we're a little bit more known now. Like we got great companies down south of the border. We got great companies north of the border. I feel like a lot of companies were on the top of their game before this virus decided to appear. So it's very sad,
Uh,
actually.
and I think post once everything kind of gets back to some sense of normalcy. I don't
Normal.
know, quote
Normal.
unquote. There we go. I mean, I don't think we're ever going to be like how we were, but I mean, I think afterwards, I think it's going to be it'll definitely be kind of like a more of a growing thing. I think with just kind of getting back into the swing of things once we get into get into the running of shows and wrestling again. I mean, 365 doing like it's saying running shows during the COVID as best as they can.
Yeah.
Definitely helped. So I hope I know I think it'll be better once we get to some sense of normalcy. But it's gonna happen. That's gonna happen.
I feel like it should, because I feel like now that people have been deprived of being able to go to live events and everything, once things lighten up and people go out again, I don't think it'll matter if they're a wrestling fan or not. I think people will just be looking for something to do to go out and enjoy when they actually can. So I think when things open back up, hopefully everything will be bumping, because people
Yeah.
are so deprived of everything.
Oh, Matt, the initial cheer, the initial pop, if you will, of those first shows back are going to be amazing.
I hope so.
And everyone's going to
That's
be
for all the
rested.
fans. It's for you.
Yes. And everyone's going to be rested. I think that might have been one of the best things for a lot of the wrestlers who've been running hard and maybe have been maybe neglecting certain injuries or neg injuries that.
Well, that's just it. When everything was bumping and everyone was running, a lot of times you were wrestling every weekend for a different promotion and you were just putting off that injury. Oh, I got a booking next weekend. I'll put off that injury. I know quite a few young guys that you'd see them after a show and you'd be like, oh, you need a break. Oh, no, I got a booking next weekend. So hopefully, yes, people will be healed up when things open back up.
I think that's actually another good piece of advice I think you give is take care of yourself.
Yeah, but we never do.
No, that's doing it the hard way.
Learn the hard way. Hard way.
Yes. Oh, I think we're almost there. So before we finish up, my favorite question I like to ask anyone in the 4 interviews I've done is wrestling. I'm hoping to do more. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I'm gonna do more. What is your wrestling guilty pleasure? Like something that like you shouldn't like, whether it's a match, whether it's a gimmick, whether it's a wrestler that you probably shouldn't like, but you can't get enough. You can't stop watching them.
Didn't I already confess to my obsession with Jeff Hardy?
He's not a guilty pleasure though. He's just legit.
Guilty pleasure. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. Can you ask me that in advance next time?
I think next time I will. I usually it's my surprise spring question because no one ever sees it come.
Guilty pleasure. No, I want to think about this.
I think this is something.
Question. Why don't I have a good
answer? Because I my bad.
Not prepared.
No. And next time, you know what? In our next one, we'll have the answer for that.
I'll comment on this feed somewhere. I got the answer now, guys. I would like to be live streamed in.
So we'll be watching YouTube and just boom. Okay, I've got my answer.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Yeah. Damn. I don't got one. Anyways, moving on.
Once again, thank you for coming onto the show. I appreciate that taking time out of your day to come chat with me for 365 Pro Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Where can people find you on the interwebs?
So despite the fact that I have a Twitter account, I never check Twitter. I've had promoters try to reach out to me through there. Please don't do that. Please don't. I won't see it until the event's over. Literally has happened. So I'm usually on Instagram the most. Literally type in Riea Von Slasher into any social media platform. You will find me. But my Twitter won't be active. But yeah, I have a YouTube that I should probably upload some stuff on. And IG is probably where I'm the most active. I also have a Facebook fan page. And if you want to buy my merch, support an indie worker. I have my own pro wrestling tee store.
Buy her merch. Buy her merch.
Yeah. Help this busted pro wrestler. Woo.
You'll never look finer.
Right. Thank you.
Exactly. Well, Riea, thank you very much for coming on to the show. And hopefully the rest of 2021 and in the future will be great and amazing for Riea Von Slasher.
Yeah.
Yay! Thank
Bye.
you. Goodbye.